About a month ago, you posted something to YouTube that I bet a lot of people found quite surprising. You've been a big proponent of fasting for a long time now, talking about the benefits, and you've incorporated that into your lifestyle for quite a period of time. You talked about how you're cutting back. So let's talk about what spurred that on and what that's been like.
Yeah, Jesse, great question. Like many things that we embark on that are novel and unique, I embarked on after interviewing Dr. Jason Fung in Toronto. I started to get into in 2016. I think that's when it was get into a lot of extended fasting. So 3 day fast periodically. The most I ever did was 5 days, and I started to do a lot of those sort of fasts. And although I did feel quite good and but didn't have a lot of weight to lose, was already sort of at 12, 13% body fat. I started to notice, Jesse, that I was getting weaker with time and started to just have it started to kind of affect me mentally, thinking that, gosh, well, I'm getting closer to 40. Maybe it's just because I'm aging. That's probably not a good thing. And I have decided over the last year that, gosh, I don't know that extended fasting for someone that isn't overweight or obese is really enhancing my life expectancy, provided the data now that we know that muscle is in fact an endocrine organ. Muscle mass is independently correlated with all-cause mortality. Even grip strength and so forth is linked with severe COVID-19 and increased risk of death. So as you age, there's this fine balance between sort of optimizing muscle tone, muscle strength, and so forth, and then also sort of getting into this calorie deficit, periodically calorie restriction. So trying to sort of balance that. And what I've since done is, instead of doing extended fasting, really just sticking to early time restricted feeding on a regular basis, but really prioritizing workouts, because it turns out that the cellular mechanisms that are linked with all the benefits of prolonged fasting are actually also similarly increased when we exercise. So that to me was sort of looking at this research, studying this. I created this Autophagy Enhancer Masterclass course, and so I was just really diving into all that research, and I was like, gosh, there's actually more data in humans to suggest that exercise is a powerful inducer of this key metabolic pathway that tends to decline with age, known as autophagy. So why are we so focused on fasting when we can upregulate autophagy by way of exercise? And I can share with you studies and more, but I'm sure you have some follow-up questions before we keep going.
So what I'm hearing you say, you're not totally against fasting, but it's more of balancing that with the exercise for you personally, where you're at in your life. And another important point I want to highlight here is the fact that there's this overlap in benefits that you're getting from exercise that maybe before you were getting from the fasting.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of shared mechanisms. So if we think about what happens when you fast, you decrease your blood glucose, you decrease blood insulin, you can increase glucagon, you start to mobilize fatty acids. Well, those same sort of metabolic pathways and that metabolic signature is actually increased when you exercise as well. So so I think, to me, consistent regular exercise paired with some more consistent regular feeding with the compression, for people who are already metabolically healthy. And so that's, I think, a big point that we need to understand. If you're overweight, if you're morbidly obese, there's a lot of benefits to extended fasting. And for some of those people, regular exercise can become problematic due as a consequence of the excess weight that they're already carrying. So, I think this is where precision needs to come into the conversation with any sort of lifestyle intervention that we talk about. We need to understand where our health history is, where we're currently at, and then sort of map out a more personalized approach going forward. So yeah, marrying the best of regular time restricted feeding with exercise, to me, seems like it makes a lot of sense.
If you enjoyed that clip, press here for the full episode. I'll see you over there.
There was this perception on the internet for several years that you have to eat once a day. That's it. You have to fast for 22 hours or 23 hours a day to get the benefits. But that's really not what the human data suggests.